Hey guys, Joel's back with another reasoning sesh where I challenge the status quo of the wisdom of the world and the church by diving deep into the ancient scriptures, uncovering meanings glossed over by translations, really cutting to the core of these metaphysical aspects of these ancient texts, and applying it practically to situations in our present day so that we can literally manifest Earth 2.0. And today I'm going to be talking about being a voice for the voiceless.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
But before I begin, I gotta say, if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe for more, and stay tuned because as we cross this threshold, the lies being exposed in the light of truth, and literally no propaganda coming from the kingdom of darkness will be able to stand in this new earth reality. But with that out of the way, I'm just gonna jump right into it. I got a couple verses I'm gonna share today, and the first one comes from the Mishlei, or the Hebrew Proverbs. These are from the words of King Lemuel, who said, "Open your mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction." And there's a lot of wickedness going on in this agenda of the kingdom of darkness, and a lot of it is perpetrated against those who have no voice. And out of all humanity, who is it that has no voice? Well, it's the people that can't even speak and many times can't even make decisions for themselves because, well, let's just say the older generation are making their decisions for them. The enemy knows this. If he can touch the minds of the youth, he can get his foot right into the door of the future. But it's really the children that have the key of understanding the kingdom of heaven, because Jesus said, as recorded in 3 of the 4 Gospels, "Except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven." But then he goes on to say this, and this is a caveat for all the people that are rising up against the youth and the future generations. "Whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea." Because the enemy knows what he's playing with, and this is literally a life-death situation. When children are being coerced and manipulated into decisions that aren't even their own, that aren't even for their benefit, that aren't even for the benefit of their future or for their health, guess what? The people behind the scenes that are manipulating this will pay, and they'll pay big.
They have gone too far. Bart, they've touched the seed. They've touched the seed of God's people.
That's right.
They're coming down. Enemy's judgment day has come.
You're right, and it begins today. Come on.
Because like Yahweh said to Irmiyahu, or Jeremiah, when he was first called into prophecy, Yahweh said, "Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you." So our DNA, basically our life story and our greatest potential, our destiny existed in that realm of logos, in the causal realm, before any of it was manifested physically. "I knew you, and before you came forth out of the womb, I sanctified you, and I ordained you a prophet unto the nations." This was even before he was born. It was already set. His destiny was already written out. And that potential was there for him to seize onto, but being programmed with the society and whatever his older generation was telling him, he answered and said, "Ah, Lord Yahweh, behold, I cannot speak, for I am a child." But like we saw in the earlier passage, Yahweh said unto him, "Say not, I am a child, for you shall go to all that I shall send you, and whatsoever I command you, you shall speak." So we realize that one of the key ways that the enemy can seize the future is by killing off these future potentials. Future presidents, future judges, future artists, future speakers, all of this stuff. He's just wiping them out. And if you look at the live count of the unborn dying, it's almost like 1 every second. In fact, it's even more than that. And the very fact that this live counter exists means that someone, somewhere, is enjoying watching this number go up. I can literally see in my inner eye this above like the darkest satanic altar somewhere. And when you put things into perspective, it really is like soul sickening. There's no way this number actually reflects like rape and all that kind of stuff. In the United States alone, it's over 350,000 that are died every year. How much potential is that going down the drain? And you really have to ask yourself, are you justifying the kingdom of darkness by perpetuating this agenda? or are you fighting on the side of life? Because really, you just gotta ask yourself, is a destiny extinguished every time an abortion is committed? And if it wasn't for certain key figures in media that are perpetrating this, people would definitely not be killing off their future. But it's all for a more sinister agenda. There's an ulterior motive by the kingdom of darkness, and it's there to expand their territory over the control of humanity by harvesting this kind of bloodshed. And literally body parts and fetal tissues, it's being sold on a market, so you know that somebody is profiting off of these sacrifices. It's the same reason why the Canaanites had to be put to the sword. It's because they were sacrificing their children in the fires of Baal and Moloch, and to destroy life, especially the most helpless, innocent lives. Source doesn't ignore that. And when you cross that line, judgment is set. There's no way out of it when you breach that threshold. As it's written in the oracles of Amos, thus says Yahweh, for 3 transgressions of the children of Ammon, and for 4, I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have ripped up the women with child of Gilead, that they might enlarge their border. So they're doing this because they want territorial gain. They're doing it for politics, whether it be governmental politics or politics in the minds of people. But Yahweh is not blind. And just because the English translations of the Bible don't use the word abortion, that doesn't mean that this whole thing isn't lined out and it's shown to be a breach of the justice of Yahweh. This is spoken of quite a few times in the Hebrew scriptures. And I'm just going to share one last verse, but just this one quote talking about one of the most evil kings of the northern kingdom of Israel, the 10 tribes that split from the kingdom that was centered at Jerusalem. It says, then Menahem, who was this king that was literally just awful in the face of justice, smote Tifsa and all that were therein, and the coast thereof from Tirzah, because they opened not to him. Therefore he smote it, and all the women therein that were with child he ripped up. And then it just goes on to say how he did evil in the sight of Yahweh. He was just perverting justice, and he was just doing everything in the face of the divine order of things. He departed not all his days from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin. And Jeroboam himself was a pretty vile guy, but these guys were just challenging the justice and the system that was set forth in the law of Yahweh given to Moses, which literally is just summed up by do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Or if you want to say it in another way, it's karma. But what are you doing for the most helpless? Are you on the side of life or are you on the side of death? And if you're on the side of death, you got to realize that all of these body parts are literal sacrifices that are just modernized. Instead of like the old days when they used to build this huge metal bull with a hollow stomach, and then they would build a fire in that bull until it glowed white hot, and then they would put the baby inside, and once they did that, the smoke would start coming out of its nostrils and out of its horns, and the moans of that baby would just echo inside that chamber and actually convince the people at that time that the bull god Moloch had come alive. We're just doing it now with forceps and pliers, but all that bloodshed still cries out for justice. And you got to ask yourself, which side of this courtroom drama are you on? And are you speaking up for the most voiceless of humanity? But I know that was a pretty heavy subject, but it's true. And as we progress further into this realm of life, we can't be held back by the kingdom of darkness anymore. And that potential that they're snuffing out, we literally got to claim back and be the voice for as we enter into this new world, this new community, this new utopia that we know we've come here to live out. So I love you guys. I'll check you in another reasoning sesh. Joel signing out once again. Agape, Salaam, Namaste, Shalom.